this video, I will be showing some gameplay I recorded of my hardcore classic WoW character early in the process of leveling. In full honesty, I made a pretty stupid mistake when recording this gameplay because I recorded a full whispered ramble while I was playing and recording it, but I forgot to unmute my microphone. This isn't the first time I've made a mistake like that, but normally I realize that no audio is being recorded within the first few seconds to a minute, and I just restart with the mic unmuted. But this time I did not notice that until I was in the process of editing and I dragged a totally silent audio clip into the video editor. So I considered just scrapping this video entirely and recording another one, but instead I thought it would be funny to share my mistake with all of you. Now I can just focus on whispering and rambling while the video plays. Anyway, most of what I talked about in the unrecorded audio was my strategy for this hardcore character and my thoughts and hopes for the upcoming BlizzCon 2023 as it relates to classic World of Warcraft and just World of Warcraft in general. So I'll stick with those as my topics for this ramble as well. As you can see in the video, I am attempting the hardcore challenge with a human paladin. I usually main a mage whenever I play World of Warcraft, but I know myself, and the way I level with mage involves a lot of AoE farming, that's area of effect farming, and I end up biting off more than I can chew. I died all the time while leveling when Classic first came out, and although AoE farming is supposed to be a faster way of leveling for a mage, it probably ended up taking me as long, if not longer, than if I hadn't done the AoE farming and just stuck to completing quests and dungeons. But looking back at it, I had fun, and that's really all that matters. If I rolled a mage here and now, I know I'd probably get overconfident in my capabilities, and I would end up finding myself in a low-level grave. Paladin seemed like a good choice because even though you aren't able to bubble hearth on hardcore classic realms, all of the healing spells and survivability that comes with leveling a paladin will end up being incredibly helpful. Plus, I felt like if I chose a class I've never fully leveled before, that would be a fun way to sort of keep things fresh. Also, if I do end up surviving long enough for this, the Paladin is one of the two classes, the other one being a Warlock, that gets a free mount spell at level 40. I think it's level 40 anyway. Yeah, I think level 40. So I'll be saving on some gold to purchase a mount if that's the case, and I make it that far. One of my concerns with hardcore is the fact that farming gold isn't as easy due to the risky business of AoE farming large packs of enemies or chain pulling whole dungeons, for example. Another benefit of choosing the human paladin instead of a dwarf paladin is that I am super familiar with all the zones and quests I'll be doing for the first 20 to 30 levels, and I feel like zone knowledge is going to be an important factor in the hardcore challenge. Wandering through an unfamiliar area could lead to all sorts of bad things. What if I stumble into a pack of hostile mobs that I'm not expecting to be there? Or what if a random elite suddenly walks in front of me and I get one shot and killed? No, I'll stick to the zones I know for as long as I can. My approach to leveling is going to be slow and steady. I know that's kind of how it is with Paladin anyway, due to their combat style in Classic. I'm going to be doing a lot of mob grinding, and it's going to be tedious, but I'm going to try to be at least 1 or 2 levels above all the questing and the mobs that I'm fighting. So I'm going to completely avoid any orange or red enemies. I'm going to keep it to yellow or green enemies that are my level or slightly lower. And while I'm exploring some of these zones and walking around, if I find a dense pack of mobs that aren't automatically hostile, I'm going to try to use that as a good grinding opportunity, because it'll be safer, since they're not hostile, for me to just kill them all one at a time. I'm planning on fully completing as many, if not all, the quests available in Elwyn Forest before heading to Westfall or Red Ridge, just because it's one of those zones that I've leveled through so many times. But yeah, I think I want to be at least level 12 or 13 before I leave Elwyn Forest, and I think that's possible as long as I'm completing the quests and maybe doing a little bit of grinding out, just killing mobs. So, yeah, once I get to Westfall, I am going to definitely outlevel the town that's near the Dead Mines before going there. I have a feeling a lot of players have met their end in that little town. I haven't decided quite yet if I'm going to be doing very many dungeons, if I'm being honest. I don't like the idea of risking my character based on a dungeon group, but if I am going to start running dungeons, I think I will try to find a guild and get to know some of the other players there first, instead of trying to bug it, because with a bug or a pickup group, it's just, you never know who you're joining, and while I don't think anyone is going to just, face pull half the dungeon just to get the group killed, you never know. So, I'm a little bit mistrusting when it comes to pickup groups. So, I'm sure I'll figure that out when the time comes. I've got a few hours of leveling before I'll be ready for any dungeons anyway. So yeah. Since this is hardcore, I'm taking a very different approach to professions as well from what I did on the regular classic servers. My normal strategy is to take gathering professions, either skinning and herbalism or mining and herbalism, to just gather a ton of resources to sell in the auction house or stockpile for later use. I think the way to go in hardcore is whatever profession offers the most utility, and I think out of all of them, engineering and alchemy are the two that will give you the most utility. I think engineering is just one of the more overpowered first aid, typically, since I have healing spells, but for hardcore, being able to bandage myself while I'm out of mana could make a huge difference in terms of survival. Especially if I, use lay on hands and then I'm out of mana and there's other mobs about and I need to try to run away. If I have a second to bandage up a little bit and bring some of my, actually, I guess that doesn't make sense, because if I've just used lay on hands, I will be back to full health. But anyway, I'm sure there are situations where it'll come in handy to not have to use my mana and to be able to just bandage myself instead. I'll probably be grinding a lot of wildlife mobs, so cooking wouldn't be a bad idea, since they'll be dropping a lot of cooking materials. Like I said before, my plan is to take it slow and steady and play things very carefully. So that's the cool thing I think about hardcore, is just experiencing the same old game, but in a much slower and with a totally different mindset than classic WoW, typically, where you're just trying to level and get to 60 as quickly as possible without really worrying about how many deaths you have. I've tried recently to get back into playing retail World of Warcraft regularly, but I have been having a lot of trouble staying interested, if I'm being fully honest. I've been pretty busy with work and life-related things over the past few months, so the last time I regularly logged into retail WoW was during the Razageth raid at the beginning of Dragonflight. I think it was called Caverns of the Incarnate, but I don't remember specifically what the raid was called. That sounds right though, Caverns of the Incarnate. I know there have been a couple of updates since then, a few minor patches, and I think one major patch. I know there's another raid tier that's been out for a while. But anyway, when I logged in looking to pick up with the story where I left off, I clearly missed some content, because I had a quest that popped up to talk to Chandris Feathermoon in Valdrakken, and there was a cutscene with the Fire Primalist. I think his name is Varrock or something, and a green dragon who was appearing as a night elf. I think it was Marithra's son. I was just completely confused by this cinematic. I don't remember ever being introduced to the Fire Primalist other than that post-Razageth cutscene after you kill the boss, when it shows the other 3 primal dragons being released. But I guess the fire one is the main villain now, and I'm not sure what happened to the other 2. I don't know, I'm so lost. I'm gonna need to either finish leveling one of my other characters and try to play through everything at level 60, or wait, are we level 60 or level 70? Whatever max level is in retail, and play through all of the post-level cap story quests, or maybe I'll have to go online and figure out what the correct order is to play all these quests in. It seems like an interesting enough story. I just am kind of lost, and I haven't taken the time to try to figure out how to go back and finish all the quests that I skipped. I know the what do you call them? The Drakthir starting zone was redone and reopened to everyone, but I still have not set foot there, so that might be where I need to start. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that the game gives me a quest that pops up to put me right into the newest content, like in case I didn't know where I should go when I come back to the game. But I don't know how I'm really expected to understand anything that's happening if I just skipped a whole patch worth of story. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to complain about it. It's just been a little bit frustrating. This hardcore classic challenge, though, has really pulled my interest back into the classic era of World of Warcraft. And with BlizzCon coming up next weekend, the rumor mill has been churning out tons of speculation and quote-unquote content leaks. It's hard not to get hyped up for what they're about to announce, or what they possibly could announce, or what they're speculated to announce. Now, I really wanted to go to BlizzCon this year. I went to the last two BlizzCons they held in 2018 and 2019 before the pandemic. But it just wasn't meant to be this year, not because I couldn't get tickets, but my family has a big birthday celebration planned for my mom, and it's taking place that same weekend. But even though I won't be there in person, I'm still super excited to hear about the upcoming Warcraft content. Some of the bigger, quote, leaks I've heard that I hope are true are a new World of Warcraft expansion announcement for retail, the possibility of a Warcraft TV show or movie on Netflix, and especially all of the rumors surrounding the potential Classic Plus. If you haven't heard anyone talk about Classic Plus, basically the idea is that a lot of people want Blizzard to create new content for Classic Vanilla World of Warcraft. It would be kind of like a what if or alternate timeline where the Burning Crusade expansion never happens and the world just stays like it did in Classic Vanilla World of Warcraft. To my understanding, there is a lot of content that was under consideration to be added back in the days of Vanilla WoW, but they never ended up making it into the game. Some of that rumored content could be anything from a Scarlet Crusade raid to the Emerald Dream coming to us as either a zone or a raid or something like that. I think they discussed putting in versions of Mount Hyjal, Gilneas, and Quel'Thalas back in the Vanilla WoW days, which obviously some of those zones and areas were added later in other expansions. I've also heard the possibility of them having a Defias Brotherhood raid where we get the return of King Varian, which doesn't end up happening until, what is it, Wrath of the Lich King, when he actually comes back in World of Warcraft. I'm not sure when we actually got him back, but I'm pretty sure it was I know he was back by the end of Wrath of the Lich King. Anyway, I'm sure there are many other plot lines and stories from Classic WoW that could be expanded upon for new endgame content, all at level 60 in the vanilla world. Personally, I think this would be an awesome idea for them to do, and they could honestly take their time with the content. I think if I was Blizzard, I would start some brand new, fresh Classic WoW servers, specifically for Classic Plus, but we're not gonna put out Classic Plus right away. Blizzard could do a full content cycle, do fresh Classic servers, and go through a whole new Classic release and update cycle before even introducing the new content, so they could have plenty of time to work on the content and hype it up and all the Classic players starting fresh on brand new servers. I'm no game developer, but as a longtime World of Warcraft fan and as a longtime player, I would go all in on a fresh Classic experience if they're going to continue to release updates for it. As for other BlizzCon predictions, I'll just run through a list, I guess, of things that I'm expecting to be announced. For retail, I do think it's already time for a new expansion announcement. I'm not sure if they'll still have another major patch to release in Dragonflight, but I think we will get another expansion announcement because this BlizzCon is the first one they've had in several years, and I think it's been hinted at that there's going to be a lot of news for World of Warcraft. So for retail, the new expansion announcement. As for what the new expansion will be, I think the hints that they've been giving us and the fact that there are still these primalist dragons, I think there's going to be an emphasis on the elementals and the elements, and it'll be a very, I don't want to say shaman themed expansion, but like their realm of, what would you call it? Like the shaman's like domain, like, so the elements, the elemental lords, the elemental planes, I think that's going to play a big part in the new expansion, and I think it's going to have a hint of like the void threat as well. Not only because we've seen a little bit of the void in this expansion, you know, with the legacy of Deathwing and all of that. I think that this next expansion is going to be an emphasis on the elements, and the following expansion after that is going to be the big void threat, the big void war. It'll be all about the void, unless they end up doing that for this next expansion, but I think they'll have another expansion in between. But who knows? Let's see. What else will they be announcing that I think? Oh, yes. Because, and this kind of goes along with the theme that I'm thinking of it being a very, very elemental themed expansion for retail. I think they are, in fact, going to do a Cataclysm Classic. Part of the reason I think this is because it would line up really well with a lot of the themes that we've been seeing so far. Like, I know the new patch that's coming out in retail has like the Druids of the Flame. It's, like I said, very focused on the elements, which is all stuff that was very big themes in Cataclysm. So I think announcing a retail expansion with a similar theme to the classic Cataclysm would be something that Blizzard might consider doing. I think that Cataclysm makes sense as the next classic WoW expansion, so I think they're going to announce that. I do hope that they will leave at least some of the servers up in Classic Wrath of the Lich King, so that we have a version of the world before the Cataclysm where everything is like a world revamp, where they like redid all the zones and changed a lot of the stories and stuff. It'd be nice to have just a version of everything that, you know, is available before Cataclysm as well. Kind of how they have Classic Wrath, but they also have Classic Vanilla available on separate servers right now. So, but like I kind of alluded to before, I hope that that's not they're all going to be announcing for Classic. I'm hoping they at least announce that they are working on the idea of Classic Plus. They could easily announce this as, you know, they could have Chromie or one of the bronze dragons, the time dragons, just being like, hey, this is a separate timeline. Like, what if the Dark Portal never reopened? And what if we never went to Outland for Burning Crusade? I just think that would be really cool. It'd be really easy. It'd be an easy win for them to just at least announce that they're developing it. I think there'd be a lot of hype that would go into that. Let's see. What else is there that... I think I mentioned this earlier as well. There have been some rumors and some alleged leaks that World of Warcraft is getting a Netflix show. Now, I really, really hope that this is true, but only on the condition that the show is based around some of the best World of Warcraft stories. I think they would do well to, what am I trying to say here? So, the World of Warcraft movie they did ended up not being the most successful. But part of that, I think, is because they chose to give us the story of the original opening of the Dark Portal and Medivh and Anduin Lothar and that whole past cast of characters that we really don't see much of in World of Warcraft anymore. We still see Khadgar. He's a big one that's in that movie. And I mean, we got Baby Thrall and there was Gul'dan, but other than that, a lot of the characters aren't really as recognizable to people who don't know all the history of Warcraft and the original Warcraft. So I think a better idea would have been for them to do a much more popular Warcraft story, which would be like Arthas or something like that. Something that is as iconic as the Lich King and Warcraft 3. So, if they do a TV show, I'm hoping they do it in the style of, what was that cyberpunk show called? I think it was Edge Runners. The cyberpunk show that was kind of anime. Or they could do it in like the art style of the Critical Role TV series, Vox Machina. And I think they should just retell some of the most iconic and foundational stories of Warcraft. I don't think they should use this show, if they do have one, as a way to tell more recent stories in the game, just because I don't think a lot of people resonate well with them. I think a TV show like this would be a great way to introduce a new generation of potential Warcraft fans into all of the biggest, most iconic Warcraft stories and characters. So like, if they turned the entire Warcraft 3 campaign story for, for each of the different, for the orcs, the night elves, and the humans, and, showing the fall of Arthas and the rise of the Lich King, that'd be really cool. Or the show could do something similar to to what Star Wars did with Tales of the Jedi, where each episode followed a different character and had its own little standalone story background for each of the characters that sort of showed their past. And specifically I'm thinking of the Tales of the Jedi episodes with Count Dooku in them, showing him as a Jedi and how he started to question the Jedi Order and stuff. I think if they did something like that, they could do that, but apply it to Warcraft. So they could do, have the show covering multiple stories in 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 3 or 4 episodes on the War of the Ancients, themselves from the internment camps and crossing the ocean to establish Duratar in Kalimdor. They could have a standalone episode. I think this would be this is just my personal, inner fanboy, but have a standalone episode with the story of Edric the Orc and Tyrion Fordring. I don't know if you know that story, but it's a really good one. I might end up making a ASMR video of me just reading that story because I really like it, and I feel like it's one of the more obscure ones. And then another episode or arc they could do in the show would be like retell the story of Varian and how he got kidnapped and, he lost his memory and fought in the gladiator pits and all of that. I think that'd be another cool one to do in the TV show. But yeah, I think a show like that would bring a whole new level of interest to the Warcraft universe in general. And it could really breathe new life into the franchise. So yeah, I hope I'm not getting myself too hyped up and raising my expectations too high. If we get to BlizzCon and all we get is a new expansion announcement and a mention of Classic Plus, I'll still be very happy with just that. But I'm not gonna lie, if the only announcements we get are the new expansion and like Cataclysm Classic, and they don't mention a TV show or Classic Plus or anything like that, I will be a little bit disappointed, I think. But I'm holding out hope, so we'll see. You know what? If you made it this far into the video and are still paying attention to my rambling and you have not fallen asleep yet, leave a comment on the video with your thoughts about BlizzCon this year. Do you think Classic Plus is going to be a thing? What do you think they'll be announcing next week, or what do you hope will be announced? Or if you're watching this video after the announcements happened, what's your favorite part of the announcements? Were you excited? Were you disappointed? Or if you're watching this video way later, I guess that doesn't matter. But still, leave a comment if you feel like it. No matter what ends up being announced, I have this hardcore challenge to scratch my World of Warcraft itch for the foreseeable future. If this paladin doesn't make it to level 60, which I'm not sure it will, I'll probably try to level a mage or maybe a druid as well. I'm finding this classic level grind to be surprisingly relaxing, even with this being hardcore, so it probably won't remain as my primary gaming focus for too long, but it'll be more of a fun game to wind down with for an hour or so before bed or while listening to some podcasts or ASMR videos. But anyway, if you can't tell by my wrapping things up tone, this video is coming to an end. I hope you all found this relaxing. I feel like I was able to focus way more on the whispering and the rambling, doing things this way instead of recording everything all at the same time. What do you think? If you've been following my other videos, how does this one compare?